Hello, my name is Charlene Dobmeyer, and I'm the President of Kingsley Publishing Services. I would like to talk to you today about the 6 steps involved in publishing a book. When I first started working in consulting with Kingsley Publishing, I would sit down with people and expect them to ask me questions. But what I learned very quickly is that for a lot of people, they don't know what questions to ask. So I've developed this podcast video to explain what's involved in publishing a book. Essentially, there are 6 steps. The first is submission, second is editing, third is design, fourth step is printing, fifth is promotion and marketing, and the 6th step is fulfillment and distribution. The first step, submission, involves knowing exactly what your book is about, who you're trying to reach with it, and what the purpose of it is. I suggest that you create a one sentence, a 1-paragraph, and a 1-page description of your book. That gives you a really good sense of what you're doing with it. It gives your publishing house or your project manager a good sense of what the book is, so that you're all on the same page. When you're preparing your submission to give to an editor or to give to a publishing house, you should be sure to keep it as simple as possible in the formatting. Create it in a Word file or another word processing file, but don't put a lot of formatting into the document because it'll just have to be taken out later. You would want to indicate if something is a chart or a graph, where it begins and where it ends, but it's best to keep it simple. The second stage of producing a book is editing. Once your submission is accepted or it's finished, it'll go to an editor. Sometimes there are 3 stages of editing, sometimes there are only 2. Substantive edit is when an editor takes your project, looks at it from a substantive point of view, looks at the structure, the organization, the flow, the content, and works with you to develop your voice and to shape the manuscript so that it says what you want it to say. The second step of editing is a copy edit. That can be the same editor or a second editor who looks at it line by line, making sure that it's grammatical, that everything is correct. They do some fact checking, and they completely rework it to make sure that it is prepared to go to design, which is the 3rd stage. The 3rd stage, design, is when your word processing file goes to a designer. A designer will prepare a cover for you, they'll prepare an interior, and again, it's important for them to go back to that 1-line, 1-paragraph, 1-page description because they're trying to create a book that works for a certain market. So they'll create a cover concept, sometimes 2 or 3 for you to choose from, and they'll also design an interior look for the book that fits into the format, whether it's 230 pages or 500 pages, so that it fits into it and it sends the kind of message that you want your book to send. The 4th stage is printing. But before your book goes to printing, you'll have another small editorial stage in which an editor will go through the design pages and make sure that there are no new errors that have been introduced in design. When the book goes to printing, it'll sometimes go as a PDF file, sometimes it will go as an InDesign file or Quark, whatever process and whatever program your designers used. It goes to printing, and you will see page proofs, and sometimes if it's a color book, you'll also see some color proofs if you've not seen them earlier on, to make sure that your book is printed in a professional way. It's really important when you're printing books to make sure that you're printing them with a company that specializes in books. If you go to a company that does all sorts of printing, brochures, pamphlets, stationery, they may not focus on books, so your book might not be around in 5 or 10 years or even a couple of years because it's not bound properly. Make sure that you hire a professional company that specializes in books. Once your book is produced, the 5th stage is very critical. It's promotion and marketing. If you're working with a publishing house, they may have their own people to do this. If you're self-publishing or working with another company, ensure that you've got someone who is going to promote your book into the market. They will work with you, again, based on your early description of the book, on finding the target market, making sure that those people know about the book. They'll work with you to develop all your contacts, and they will make sure that those people know where they can find the book. Once people know about your book, you'll have to concern yourself with the 6th step, and that's fulfillment and distribution. There's a little bit of a difference between those 2 steps. If you plan on marketing your book yourself and taking in the payment for it through a website or through some other venue, your company, whatever it might be, then you'll have to hire someone to fulfill the book orders. You will give the orders to that company, to a fulfillment house, or the printing company sometimes will do fulfillment for you, and they will fulfill your orders, but you will take the payment. If you don't want to be involved in any of those stages, you will look for a distributor. A distributor will handle selling your book, taking payment for it, handling returns, and will charge you usually about 30 to 35% of the net price for your book for handling that. So those are the stages that are involved that you need to be aware of when you are publishing a book. Just to recap, those are submission, editing, design, printing, promotion and marketing, and fulfillment and distribution. Good luck with your book.